Beneath the Badge Episode 3. Author, Gisele Wassa. Copyright 2024, all rights reserved. Minutes later, Wayne re-entered the room, a towel slung over his shoulders. His damp hair was evidence of his recent shower, and there was a comfortable ease in his demeanor. He stepped toward Madison before putting on his t-shirt, his chest briefly exposed. A quick glimpse was enough to reveal his toned physique, a testament to his dedication to his workout and well-being. As Wayne approached her, Madison's heart raced, her unease returning in the face of her attraction to him. "Are you hungry? We can order something if you want because I did not cook any." Interrupting himself and sensing her sudden discomfort, Wayne's eyes held a question. "Everything all right?" Madison bit her lip, her gaze flickering between Wayne's eyes and his t-shirt. "Yes, I'm fine. I should probably get going." She quickly stood up and tried to grab her vest. Wayne's hand gently caught her wrist before she could move away. "What? Why? I thought you would stay longer. Were you not worried about me a few minutes ago?" Yes, I was, but I know you are safe now, so I should go," she says, trying to escape him. "Wait," he said, his voice soft but determined. "It's getting late, and you seem a bit on edge. Would you consider staying the night?" His request caught Madison by surprise, and her heart raced at the thought. Before she could respond, Wayne stepped closer to her, his breath brushing against her ear as he whispered, "Please stay." The warmth of his breath against her skin sent shivers down Madison's spine, and for a moment, time seemed to stand still. The intensity of his gaze held her captive, and a mix of emotions swirled within her. She felt drawn to him, his kindness, his protectiveness, and the undeniable connection they shared. Wayne's hand cupped her cheek gently, his thumb brushing against her skin. "Madison," he uttered her name, but she stood there, utterly astonished, unable to respond. "Madison, please, don't make me beg, but I will if that's what you want." Her heart raced, and a myriad of thoughts raced through her mind. Could she allow herself to stay? Could she embrace the vulnerability of spending the night in his presence? With Wayne's gaze still fixed on her, Madison's resolve wavered, and the tension between them was palpable. In that moment, amidst the unspoken words and the electricity in the air, Madison had a choice to make. Would she give in to her feelings, to the magnetic pull between them, and let herself be vulnerable with Wayne? Or would she hold back, allowing fear to dictate her actions? The weight of the decision hung heavy in the air, and Madison's heart held the answer. Feeling the intensity of the moment, Madison gently withdrew her wrist from Wayne's grasp. Her heart conflicted, torn between the allure of staying and the apprehension that held her back. With a faint smile, she managed to find her voice. "Thank you, Wayne. I appreciate your offer, but I think I should head home tonight." Wayne's gaze softened, understanding the mix of emotions that must have been swirling within her. He nodded, his expression respectful and considerate. "Okay, I respect your decision. Just know that you're always welcome here, whenever you're ready." Madison returned his smile, a mixture of gratitude and regret in her eyes. "Thank you. I am really happy that you are all right, baby, but I really have to go." As she made her way towards the door, Wayne followed her, his demeanor a blend of concern and genuine care. "Please drive safely. And if you ever need anything, don't hesitate to reach out, okay?" "Will do," Madison assured him, her heart heavy with conflicting emotions. She paused at the doorway, looking back at him one last time. "Good night, my heart. Good night, my love." Wayne's voice held warmth, his gaze lingering on her as she stepped out into the night. As she walked away from his door, Madison couldn't shake off the rush of emotions that had washed over her. The decision to leave was not an easy one, but she knew it was the right choice for her at that moment. The night was filled with unspoken possibilities, and as she drove through the quiet streets, she found herself grappling with a myriad of thoughts and feelings. Chapter 3. Fight What You Don't Understand. Journalist. In a deeply distressing incident, a white police officer, Officer Anderson, pulled over a young black man named Marcus Washington for a routine traffic violation. The situation took a tragic turn when Marcus, attempting to retrieve his identification from the glove compartment, was mistakenly perceived as a threat by the officer. In the tense moments that followed, Officer Anderson fired his weapon, tragically ending Marcus's life. The incident sparked widespread protests and renewed debates about racial profiling and the use of force by law enforcement officers. It served as a grim reminder of the ongoing challenges related to racial injustice and police violence. Madison sat on the plush sofa, her attention glued to the news report. The weight of the world felt heavier as she absorbed the details of another tragic incident involving a black man and the police. Anger and frustration churned within her, a heavy weight settling in her chest. Just then, Wayne walked in, his uniform crisp and his demeanor relaxed. He approached her with a warm smile and leaned down to plant a gentle kiss on her lips. "Hey, how are you?" he asked, his voice softening as he took a seat beside her. Madison turned slightly, forcing a smile despite the turmoil in her heart. "I'm okay. Just watching the news." "You?" Same old, same old. Just got off a shift." "How was your day?" he replied, trying to keep the mood light. She hesitated for a moment, then sighed. "It was fine. I had a meeting with some clients about a new property listing. Things are going great. I was happy until I saw this news report." Her voice trailed off as she gestured toward the TV. Wayne followed her gaze, his expression shifting as he recognized the story unfolding on screen. "Oh," he said, his brow furrowing. That's tough." Madison took a deep breath, her frustration bubbling just beneath the surface. "Tough? Wayne, it's heartbreaking. Another young black man killed for no reason." Wayne sighed, running a hand through his hair. "It's a terrible situation, but we don't know all the facts yet. These split-second decisions are incredibly difficult." Madison's eyes narrowed. "Difficult? Wayne, this is about racial profiling and excessive force. How many more black lives need to be lost before something changes?" "I know it's tragic," Wayne replied cautiously, attempting to navigate the sensitive topic. "But we don't have all the details yet. Sometimes things aren't what they seem." "Not what they seem?" Madison snapped, her voice rising slightly. "He was just reaching for his ID. How can you defend that?" "I'm not defending it," Wayne exclaimed, his tone becoming more assertive. "I'm just saying that as an officer, I see how quickly things can escalate. You have to understand." "Understand what?" "That you wear a badge and suddenly you're above accountability." Madison interrupted, her hands clenched into fists. Wayne's jaw tightened. "That's not fair. You know I'm not like that. I'm out there trying to help people." Madison stood up abruptly, pacing in front of him. "Help people? By upholding a system that targets my community?" "Look, I understand you're upset, but not all cops are bad," Wayne said, his voice taking on a defensive tone. "We're out there risking our lives every day to protect people." Madison stood up, her hands on her hips. "Protect people? Like Marcus Washington?" "He was just reaching for his ID, Wayne." Wayne's posture stiffened. "You weren't there. You don't know what the officer saw or felt in that moment. I don't need to be there to know it's wrong." Madison's voice rose. "This keeps happening to black people, and you're making excuses." "I'm not making excuses." Wayne shot back, his face reddening. "I'm trying to explain that these situations are complex. You can't just assume every officer is out to get black people." Madison laughed bitterly. "Oh, that's rich coming from you. You have no idea what it's like to live in fear of being pulled over, to worry that any interaction with the police could be your last. You can't possibly understand what it's like to live in fear of being stopped by someone like you." Wayne rose from the couch, frustration etched across his face. "And you can't understand what it's like to put on that uniform every day. I repeat, we're not all bad people." The tension escalated as they both shouted over each other, their voices echoing in the lavish room filled with expensive decor that suddenly felt suffocating. Wayne's fists clenched at his sides. "And you have no idea what it's like to put on that badge every day, not knowing if you'll make it home. Don't you dare compare your choice of career to the systemic racism we face." Madison yelled, tears of frustration forming in her eyes. "Maybe if people would just comply with police orders, these things wouldn't happen." Wayne shouted. "Yeah. People should stop having a brain to make your life easier. Is that it? You think your job is hard? Try being black in America." Madison yelled, tears of anger welling in her eyes. "You think I don't care about that? You think I don't see it? Wayne shot back, his voice cracking with emotion. I'm trying to do my job and be a good person. Madison shook her head in disbelief. You're part of the problem. And you'll never get it. Wayne paused for a moment. Maybe I don't want to be with someone who can't see both sides, he shouted back, his frustration boiling over. He then grabbed his jacket, his face a mask of anger and regret. You know what? I don't need this. You clearly don't understand or respect what I do. With that final remark hanging heavy in the air, Madison felt her heart shatter as Wayne stormed out of the house, slamming the door behind him. She collapsed back onto the couch, sobs racking her body as she stared at the flickering news report, a painful reminder of their fight and everything they had just lost in that moment of anger and misunderstanding. After their heated argument, Wayne and Madison found themselves in a temporary silence, their usual connection strained by the weight of their differing views. 4 days passed with neither of them reaching out, the days stretching on with an unspoken tension. At their workplace, Madison sat at her desk, her eyes tracing the lines of her computer screen as her thoughts lingered on Wayne. The heaviness in her heart was palpable, a mixture of sadness and uncertainty settling within her. She sighed, her fingers tapping lightly on the keyboard as she contemplated the situation. Dakota, noticing her friend's subdued demeanor, walked over and leaned against Madison's desk. Hey, what's going on? Are you all right? You seem lost in thought again. Madison glanced up, offering a faint smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Just a lot on my mind, Dakota. Dakota raised an eyebrow, her concern evident. You want to talk about it? Madison hesitated for a moment before letting out a sigh. Wayne and I never had an argument that big, and things got really tense. He will come around, said Dakota. We haven't spoken in days, sighed Madison. Dakota placed a comforting hand on Madison's shoulder. I'm so sorry, sweetie. Arguments happen, especially when emotions run high. Girl, I can relate. Madison nodded, her voice tinged with sadness. I know, but it's different this time. I can't shake the feeling that he's not going to want to hear from me again after what happened. Dakota shook her head gently. Hey, don't jump to conclusions. Give him some time to cool off and think things through. If you two care about each other, you'll find a way to work it out. Madison offered a small smile, her gratitude evident. Thanks, Dakota. I just miss him so much. Dakota patted her shoulder reassuringly. I know, honey. And if he's worth it, he'll come around. As Madison nodded, she felt a glimmer of hope amidst her sadness. The support of her friend reminded her that relationships had their ups and downs, and maybe there was a chance for her and Wayne to find common ground and mend the rift between them. As Dakota continued to offer her words of encouragement, Madison felt a familiar buzz from her phone. She glanced at the screen and her heart skipped a beat when she saw Wayne's name. Opening the message, she read his words. Can we meet at our cafe near the park? There's something I want to talk to you about. Her fingers hovered over the screen as a mixture of emotions welled up inside her. Hope and anxiety tangled in her chest. Dakota noticed her change in expression and gently asked, Is that him? Madison let out a sigh, her fingers slowly typing a reply. It's Wayne. He wants to meet at our cafe. Dakota's eyes widened in curiosity. Well, that's a good sign, right? Maybe he wants to talk things out. Madison nodded, her gaze fixed on her phone. Or maybe he wants his keys back. Dakota's brows furrowed. Why would he want his keys back? Madison shrugged, a hint of sadness in her eyes. I don't know. Maybe he feels like we're over after the argument. Or maybe he just wants to move on. I think I should not go. Dakota placed a comforting hand on Madison's arm. Listen, quit jumping to conclusions, honey. Give him a chance to explain. Go meet him and see what he has to say. If he's willing to meet you, it means he still cares. Madison managed a small smile, grateful for her friend's support. Yeah, I should hear him out before assuming anything. I know that it is the right thing to do. I am just scared. Dakota gave her a reassuring pat. I know. But remember, whatever happens, you deserve happiness, girl. Madison nodded, her heart racing with a mix of anticipation and apprehension. As she gathered her belongings and prepared to head to the cafe, she couldn't shake the feeling that this meeting could hold the key to the future of her relationship with Wayne. Madison sat at their usual corner table in the cafe, nervously tapping her fingers on the wooden surface. She ordered her usual coffee and Wayne's. After that, she waited anxiously for his arrival. When Wayne walked in, Madison's heart skipped a beat. She stood up with a small smile and held out one of the cups to him. "Hey, I got you a black coffee with 2 sugars. Wayne chuckled, taking the cup from her. "You know me too well already." He gave her a warm smile, and Madison's heart fluttered as their fingers brushed during the exchange. "Shall we take a walk in the park?" Wayne suggested, gesturing toward the nearby park they had visited on their first date. Madison nodded, feeling a mixture of excitement and trepidation. As they walked side by side, the atmosphere felt a bit tense at the beginning, the silence hanging between them. After a while, Wayne broke the silence, his voice gentle. "Madison, I had time to think about everything and I want to apologize. I didn't realize how much my words hurt you during our argument. I should have understood what you meant and respected your perspective." Madison sighed, glancing at him. "And I should have listened to your side more instead of jumping to conclusions. One day I was looking to apprehend a suspect south of some neighborhood, and I managed to find him. I arrested him and put him in the back of the car. When I looked at his files and he was accused of raping a 13-year-old and he gave her AIDS. Oh my goodness, Wayne. It is horrible. See, if I would have had the file before the guy, I probably would have shot him. At the end of the day, we are just human beings. We are trained but we get scared and anxious like anyone." Wayne stopped, turning to face her. "I don't want our differences to be a source of conflict. I want us to embrace them as strengths. I've been thinking a lot about us, and I want you to know that I care about you deeply." Madison's eyes widened in surprise, her heart racing at his confession. "Wayne." He gently placed a finger on her lips, silencing her. "Let me finish. Madison." He paused, and after a moment to gather his courage, he said, "I love you. I've been holding back, but I can't anymore. I love you like a madman, and I don't want anything to come between us." Madison was speechless for a moment, her heart overflowing with emotions. Wayne's confession caught her off guard, but it also filled her with a warmth she hadn't expected. Tears welled up in her eyes, and she nodded, her voice trembling. "Oh, Wayne, I love you too." He smiled, a mixture of relief and happiness in his eyes. "I'm glad we're on the same page. Let's work through our differences together, Madison. I want us to be a team." Madison wiped away a tear and smiled back at him. "I want that too, Wayne." As they continued their walk through the park, Madison felt a newfound sense of connection with Wayne. His honesty and vulnerability had brought them closer, and she realized that their love had the potential to overcome any challenges that came their way. With his hand in hers, she felt a sense of hope and assurance for their future together. They found their way to the familiar bench, where they had shared countless conversations before. As they settled down, Madison felt a mix of emotions, relief, happiness, and a lingering nervousness. She reached into her bag and pulled out the keys Wayne had given her, placing them on her lap. Wayne's eyes flickered to the keys, and a hint of apprehension crossed his face. "Why do you have those out?" Madison couldn't help but chuckle at his reaction. "Oh, don't worry. I just organized my purse again. To be honest, I thought you might want your keys back." He let out a relieved laugh. "Why would I want them back?" Madison looked down, her fingers tracing the edges of the keys. "I don't know. After our argument and everything, I thought you might want to break up." Wayne's expression softened as he gazed at her. "Break up? Madison, why do you always jump to conclusions?" She looked up at him, meeting his eyes. Before she could respond, he leaned in and kissed her gently, his lips warm and reassuring against hers. The touch of his lips silenced any doubts that had been lingering in her mind. As the kiss deepened, Madison felt a mixture of emotions, passion, longing, and the weight of their recent conversations. She tried to pull away, a faint smile on her lips. "Wayne, we're in a public place and you're in uniform. Everyone is looking at us." Wayne's grip tightened around her, and he looked into her eyes with a mischievous glint. "I don't care." Madison blushed, feeling a rush of both embarrassment and excitement. "Wayne, seriously." He silenced her protests with another kiss, his lips claiming hers with a renewed fervor. Despite her attempts to escape, he held her close, his kisses leaving her breathless. Between kisses, she managed to speak, her voice a playful whisper. Wayne, please, we're in public. He finally released her, a playful grin on his face. All right. I'll behave. Madison giggled, her cheeks flushed. You're impossible. Wayne's gaze held a mix of curiosity and concern as he looked at her. What about you? I felt pretty bad that night when you left me by myself. Madison's expression softened, and she looked down for a moment. I'm sorry about that, Wayne. I really am. He tilted his head, his eyes searching hers. What was bothering you? Was it too soon? Don't you trust me? Madison took a deep breath, her fingers playing with the edge of her dress. Of course, I trust you, Wayne. But I come from a Christian family. We have certain values, and one of them is that we don't believe in having sex before marriage. His surprise was evident, his brows furrowing slightly. Wait, are you saying you are? Madison nodded, her cheeks reddening. No, I'm not. Wayne's eyes widened, clearly taken aback by her confession. He looked as if he was trying to process the information. Oh, I didn't expect that. She bit her lip, feeling vulnerable under his gaze. I didn't want to lie to you, Wayne. I respect you too much. He let out a sigh, running a hand through his hair. Well, that's a curveball I didn't see coming. Madison's heart sank, fearing that this revelation might change things between them. Wayne, I understand if... He held up a hand, interrupting her. No, Madison, it's okay. It's not a problem for me. I appreciate your honesty. Relief flooded through her, and she smiled gratefully at him. Thank you for understanding. Wayne leaned in closer, his gaze sincere. It is all good. Her heart swelled with gratitude, and she reached out to touch his hand. You're amazing, Wayne. He chuckled softly, a hint of playfulness returning to his eyes. Well, I know. You're pretty amazing too, even with your surprises. Madison laughed, her worries dissipating with his reassurance. As they sat there on the bench, she realized that their love was growing stronger, built on trust, understanding, and acceptance. In Wayne's company, she felt truly valued for who she was. Wayne's gaze softened as he brushed a strand of hair from her face. From now on, we talk things out. Her heart swelled at his words, and she reached for his hand. All right, baby. They sat on the bench, hands intertwined, as the world around them seemed to fade away. In that moment, Madison felt a sense of security and love, knowing that Wayne was by her side, ready to support and stand by her through it all. As Madison and Wayne sat on the park bench, their lips still tingling from the passionate kiss that had mended their rift, they heard excited murmurs around them. The day after, as the sun streamed through the office windows, Madison couldn't help but feel a mixture of urgency and excitement. After their heartfelt reconciliation in the park, she hurriedly entered the bustling real estate office, her mind still swirling with thoughts of her newfound bond with Wayne. She glanced around the room, searching for Dakota, her closest confidant at work. Hey, Madison, you seem like you're on cloud nine today, Dakota observed, flashing a knowing smile as she joined Madison at their desks. Madison's cheeks flushed slightly as she sat down, her heart still racing from her encounter with Wayne. Dakota, you won't believe what happened. Dakota raised an eyebrow, leaning in with curiosity. Okay, spill the details. What's got you so overwhelmed? Madison's eyes sparkled as she began to recount the events of the previous evening, their passionate kiss in the park, and the overwhelming emotions she was feeling. It's just, Wayne and I are in the news. I saw that this morning. Someone captured that moment in the park when we kissed, and now it's everywhere. Dakota's grin widened as she leaned back in her chair. Wow, how does it feel to be a celebrity, huh? Madison nodded, her excitement palpable. But Dakota, I'm worried. What if this puts Wayne in danger? What if people start targeting him because of our relationship? Dakota's expression softened, understanding Madison's concerns. I get where you're coming from, Madison. But think about it this way. By being open about your relationship, you're also showing that love can transcend boundaries. You're making a statement, not just for yourselves, but for all those who are struggling to break down barriers. Madison bit her lip, her eyes searching for reassurance. Do you really think so? Dakota nodded firmly. Absolutely. You two are challenging stereotypes and changing perceptions. People will see the good you're doing, and it might just inspire them to rethink their biases. A hesitant smile crept onto Madison's face. You always know how to put things in perspective, Dakota. Dakota chuckled. Well, that's what friends are for, right? Just remember, you're not alone in this. Wayne's got your back, and so do we. Madison's worry began to ease as she realized the support she had around her. Thanks, honey. Curious, Madison pulled out her phone and checked her social media once more. Her eyes widened as she saw the view numbers of photo of them, taken during their intimate moment in the park, circulating on various platforms. The headline read, "A love that transcends boundaries." She decided to call Wayne. "Wayne," she said, her voice trembling, "our picture is everywhere. It's going viral." Wayne chuckled, his eyes twinkling with amusement. "Looks like we're famous now, Madison." Madison's worry creased her brow. "But Wayne, what if this puts you in danger? What if people target you because of our relationship? I don't want you to be in trouble. Can they use our image without our authorization? I don't think this is legal. Should I call my lawyer?" Wayne reassured her. Madison, please calm down. Don't worry too much. This is just a photo of us, showing our love. We're not doing anything wrong. And besides, I've got my fellow officers to watch my back, so don't worry about me." Madison's concern remained, but Wayne's calm demeanor helped soothe her nerves. "It is my job to worry about you. And I just don't want anything to harm you." Wayne used his voice gently. "I know you care about me, baby. But remember, tomorrow morning we will be forgotten. Those viral trends don't last for very long." Madison took a deep breath, trying to steady her racing heart. "You're right, Wayne. We shouldn't let fear control us." "You mean you should not let fear control you?" "I am fine." Wayne laughed. Madison chuckled softly. "I cannot help but to think about the consequences of anything. But I guess, both of us are loving each other, it surely means something." Wayne's smile was heartwarming. "Exactly. It does, baby. I think that we're making a positive impact, and that's what matters." Chapter 5: The Right Kind of Spread. As days passed, more photos of diverse couples within the same police department surfaced. The public was captivated by the display of love and unity, and it sparked conversations about breaking down barriers. The news outlets highlighted how these relationships were changing the perception of the police force, emphasizing their commitment to diversity and inclusion. As Madison and Wayne walked down the street together, they noticed people giving them supportive smiles and nods. Strangers approached them to express their gratitude for their courage in the face of prejudice. The police department also received an outpouring of support from citizens who appreciated the positive change they were championing. It became evident that their love story, shared openly and authentically, had touched many hearts and ignited a movement. Madison and Wayne's relationship was no longer just a personal journey. It had become a symbol of hope, progress, and unity in a world often divided. As weeks turned into months, Wayne and Madison's bond grew stronger, their love deepening with each passing day. They quickly became inseparable. One evening, Madison arrived at Wayne's condo earlier than usual, carrying a big container of sushi she had picked up on the way. She settled on the couch, turning on the TV as she waited for Wayne to come home. He had called earlier, letting her know he was on his way. A few minutes later, the door swung open, and Wayne walked in, a tired but genuine smile on his face. "Hey, beautiful," he greeted, hanging up his coat. "Hey, baby," Madison replied, looking up from the TV with a grin. "I brought sushi for dinner. Hope you're hungry." Wayne's eyes lit up, and he moved closer to the couch. "Sushi sounds perfect." Wayne entered the living room, his uniform slightly rumpled after a long day. Madison looked up from the couch, concern etched on her face. "You look tired, baby," she said, patting the spot next to her. Wayne's eyes twinkled with mischief as he flopped down beside her. "Oh, same old," he said with exaggerated nonchalance. "Just your typical day on the force. Foiled a bank robbery, wrote a parking ticket to a getaway car, and helped an old lady cross the street while she was fleeing the scene." Madison raised an eyebrow, a smile tugging at her lips. "Wow, really?" Wayne grinned, leaning in to kiss her cheek. "Just keeping the mean streets of our fair city safe." As they settled in, their dialogue flowed effortlessly, moving from food to the mail that had piled up on the counter. Madison teased him about having to sort through his bills, and Wayne playfully defended himself. Then, with a mischievous glint in his eyes, Wayne stepped closer to Madison and held out a foot. "Hey, take off my shoes, woman, now." Madison raised an eyebrow, feigning exasperation. "You can keep dreaming, brother." He chuckled, shaking his head. "Guess times have changed. Women aren't what they used to be." Madison laughed and, fueled by the lightness of the moment, leaned down to try to take off his shoes. Wayne quickly lifted his foot, stopping her. "I was just kidding," he admitted, his eyes dancing with amusement. Laughter filled the room as they shared the joke, their bond growing stronger through their playful interactions. Wayne grabbed a beer from the fridge and settled in beside Madison, a contented sigh escaping his lips. Madison couldn't resist a playful jab. A policeman coming home for a beer at night? How cliché. Wayne raised an eyebrow, pretending to be indignant. "What are you talking about? I have to keep up with tradition." With a chuckle, he stretched out on the couch, resting his head on Madison's legs. She ruffled his hair affectionately. "You're something else, Wayne." He closed his eyes, relaxing against her, just enjoying the simple pleasures of life. After a moment, Wayne and Madison were sitting comfortably on the plush sofa in his living room. The TV played softly in the background, but neither was paying much attention to it. They had just finished discussing their plans for the weekend when Wayne decided to broach a topic that had been on his mind for a while. Wayne shifted slightly, turning to face Madison. He took a deep breath and said, "I was thinking about something." Madison, who had been scrolling through her phone, looked up. "Yes." Wayne hesitated for a moment, then continued, "I think it's time for you to meet my family. What do you say?" Madison's eyes widened, and she put her phone down. "Wayne, please." "You promised," Wayne said, leaning forward. "I've been trying to introduce you to them multiple times already." Madison bit her lip, her fingers fidgeting with the hem of her shirt. "What if they don't like me?" Wayne reached out and took her hand. "That's not going to happen. I told them so much about you. Woman, you literally find an escape every single time I come up with the subject." "Wayne," Madison interrupted, her voice soft but uncertain. Wayne squeezed her hand gently. "I need an answer. They won't eat you, you know." Madison paused, taking a deep breath. She looked into Wayne's eyes and saw hope and love there. Finally, she sighed loudly and let the silence grow. "Thanks for your excitement," Wayne said, a hint of sarcasm in his voice. Madison's expression softened. She sat up straighter and said with newfound determination, "I am excited. All right, let's do it." Wayne's eyes lit up. He sat up, turning fully towards Madison. "Are you being serious?" Madison nodded, a smile spreading across her face. Wayne's heart swelled with joy. He leaned in and kissed her tenderly, his hand cupping her cheek. As they pulled apart, they shared a laugh, the tension of the moment dissipating. Wayne wrapped his arm around Madison, pulling her close. They sat there in comfortable silence, basking in the warmth of their love and the excitement of this new step in their relationship. Next chapter, next secrets. To be continued. Thanks for watching.